we'd done the hard work getting there. We'd had to beat St Helens, Wigan and Bradford, who, at the time, Bradford were one of the top sides. So really tough job to get there and to play at the old Wembley, in the last ever final there was fantastic.
Personally, I had a dream the night before that I'd scored a hat-trick and Leeds won the cup. So that's certainly something that sticks with me. And also remember, I think individually we'd all had post-it notes or a little message posted through the door. The message was posted through the night, so obviously in the morning when we woke up, everyone had a little letter and envelope, so you opened it and it was a message. Don't ask me to recite or recall what the content of that message was, but it generally is around words of inspiration and enjoy the game.
The night before the game, we had a walk around the hotel and team meeting, and it was just exceptionally done logistically by David Howes. And I think it tells you when somebody's had that experience that they get it spot on.
The bus journey on the way to the ground, from what I remember, it was a hot day, so there's a bit of a carnival atmosphere driving through the streets of London. And what I remember turning up to the game, just how busy it was. But I just remember getting there and obviously just met with a sea of Rhinos fans as the bus pulled up to the stadium. Getting
to the ground, there was a load of blue and amber flags, blue and amber jerseys, huge amount of Leeds support.
When they talk about being revved up, I was revved up 9 out of 10 from the minute I got on the coach. I think that's where my memory bank goes right back to, thinking to myself, we've had an amazing journey so far.
You get on the bus, it's pretty quiet, and I think it was about a 20-25 minute bus journey to the stadium, and was driving up there and it pulls outside the stadium, and there's all of a sudden thousands and thousands of Leeds Rhinos fans just outside the stadium, and it just hit you at that point that while we're at Wembley, we're in the Challenge Cup final.
Going up Wembley way, seeing all the fans either side, and you pulled up right into the stadium, and the fans greeted you as you got off the coach into the stadium, and I'm pretty sure we turned left on that day because we got the home changing rooms.
The noise coming out of the tunnel was nothing I'd experienced before at that point. It was fantastic. There was I think there was 75,000 people there, all screaming, and Abide with me is quite an emotional hymn anyway. So the hairs on my neck was stood up.
Silence. Then it gets a bit louder. And then it's and you can't hear anything as such, but you just know, you just feel it.
My greatest memory of the experience was the actual tunnel way and walking out onto the pitch. And whilst you can hear the noise, you can feel the atmosphere, you can't really see anything. You just see the end of the tunnel, the hole. And as you're walking down opposite your opponents, it just opens up and erupts, and it gets bigger and bigger. And those words of the late Graham Murray, just remind us to keep focused, just goes out the window.
We had some guys that were in the 30s and early 30s and getting towards mid-30s that had not won a trophy through the career for all their experience they had, and you sort of hair stands on end, and it's difficult to sort of remember it as it was, because you're trying to concentrate on the actions of the game rather than the emotion of what's happening around you. But looking back, it was pretty intense.
So the game itself, the weather was a factor. It was a very hot day, and London started very well. They actually went into a 10-0 lead, and we was looking at each other thinking, well, this wasn't in the script, wasn't in the programme.
Martin Afire, quality player that he was, one of the best players I played with or against, if not the best, did what he always did, scored a try from nothing. We're behind the sticks, and I think it was the second row, Robbie Simpson scored again, and we're all looking around thinking, well, I'm not sure I saw this in the brochure. I'm sure we're supposed to win this.
For 60 minutes, it was a real arm wrestle, but I think that's how we'd played all year. I think the last 20 minutes we seemed to come on really strong with our fitness and grinding teams down. And the final, from what I recall, wasn't any different. I think London really took it to us in the first 40 minutes. In the first 50, 60 minutes, we're well in the game.
The game was in the balance. London had a good start. We got back into the game just before half time, and I think it was Andy Hayne who made a break through the middle of the field, and we scored off the next play. We shifted the ball to the right, and I think Leroy Rivett scored one of his 4 tries, and that was the time when I actually thought, this is it, we've got this in the bag.
15 minutes to go. I think we was about 25 points clear, and I thought, there's no way these boys are going to come back. We've got this in the bag, and that's when I relaxed and really enjoyed enjoyed the finish to the game.
Leroy Rivett's 4 tries were just a gift, really, because apart from the first 2, I think the second 2 were on the pitch 80 metres behind him thinking, go on lad, you've got it, you just fill your boots, enjoy yourself. And they were great breakaway tries that I'm sure Leroy will treasure and value for the rest of his life.
The third try, I think, was camped, probably my favourite try for the hat-trick. I think we're just starting to the game's starting to open up. We're just starting to run away with it. It was camped on our own try line, and Carl Hammond threw out a long ball, which I managed to intercept and race 95 metres to score the hat-trick. And I think that really finished the game for us. So that was a nice try. Winning the Lance Todd Trophy, it's an honour. There's an elite list of professionals that have got their names on that trophy, and there's a lot of elite professionals that don't even get to play at Wembley, let alone get their hands on the trophy. So it's quite humbling, really. It's quite humbling receiving that accolade. Walking up the steps at Wembley, it just regresses you back to your inner child. It's just pure excitement. I still cringe now looking back at my own celebrations. You can just see the inner child in its format, just that jubilation and the excitement that's just pouring out.
We had good characters, so we had maniacs like Moz and Newton at the back of me going, look at McDermott, he wants to get to the front, he wants to lift it first. And I did, because I was excited. And Leroy, who'd scored 4 tries and got the Lance Trod, he's trying to get in front of me, and I'm saying, get back, Leroy, get back, it's my dream this, not yours.
I remember each and every step going up there, and I think it was about 5th or 6th along the line, and every one of us got to hold the trophy, give it a bit of a hands in the air, give it a kiss and pass it along. But fantastic, yeah, it's a great tradition in our sport, and one I loved.
The feeling of lifting that trophy, it was probably that, if not the highlight of my career, certainly up there in the top 2 or 3. And I've still got the picture there in my office that's there to remind you. And there's not many rugby pictures I've got up anymore, and to lift a trophy with 17 people that you've got utmost respect for on the coaching staff and the players that didn't play was just immense, and the feeling was probably something that has not been replicated for me.
I can't lift my arm now, that's it. I lifted that cup that day, I nearly touched the roof at Wembley because I lifted it that high. I put it up, I had the biggest, cheesiest grin. My jaw was out here because I was like, this is fantastic.
I actually spotted my brothers and my dad in the crowd, and that's when I filled up and started crying, and I'm not ashamed to say that. It was a really, really emotional point for me. Loved it. I mean, I loved everything about it, but just seeing them, that put the icing on the cake, really.
In the changing room was strange. Me and Leroy got whisked off to media duties and over to the press conference, and we went in, and Leroy had scored 4 tries and got all the plaudits, rightly so, and I was captain, I was doing that with him, and we came back into the changing rooms and everyone had gone, and the trophy was still there, and me and Leroy were sat in the bath, just the 2 of us, drinking a bottle of champagne between us with the trophy sat on the side. And it was just a surreal moment. And I remember me and Leroy thinking, well, we'll catch up with everyone, but let's just enjoy this for a second. And so it wasn't what I expected it to be, but in a strange way, it was really nice.
The party afterwards, I mean, I was only young then, and I was probably the leader of the youngsters who used to go out on a regular basis anyway.
Numpty, gullible that I was at the time, and always wanting to do things first with no thought of what if. Ran through reception, Oliver Sweeney shoes on, they're a good 300 or 400 quid shoes from flannel, Hugo Boss suit on, looked like a million lira dressed up, jumped and did a top bombing dive, boom, in my suit, in my trousers, in my shoes. Yeah, come on lads.
I lasted till about 5. And then just before I went to bed, though, we got these Hugo Boss suits for the final. I remember Terry Newton jumping in the pool with this wonderful Hugo Boss suit on, coming out the pool, and it was ruined. So that cheered me up.
Newton, I think, was a bit reluctant, but he jumped in, looked over the edge. Moz pushed him, laughed as hard as I've ever seen him laugh, and then ran off. So we're like that, come in, come on Moz, jump in. He went like that and just turned around and walked off. I look back on it, it's my favourite Favourite game, favourite tournament, favourite campaign, favourite semi-final against Bradford in the awesome foursome, having lost a couple of semis against them. Favourite gang of lads, and obviously it meant something to us, and it meant something to the people of Leeds when we brought the trophy back.